This is the Equine Information Source. I'm Amanda, and today we are in conversation with Peter Ayranto, a Certified Journeyman Farrier who regularly works with the University of Guelph on their most challenging cases. Experienced in all areas of farrier services, from barefoot to therapeutic shoeing, Peter has decades of experience. Thank you for doing this interview with us today. How has your job as a farrier changed since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic?
So things within the barn have been a little bit less congested, but in terms of horses getting their feet done, we're about the same. I've had a few horses that have, moved back to a different barn or moved home, or we've pulled the hind shoes. But then conversely, I've had other horses that have come back into barns that came from somewhere else because it's closer to home, or, it comes back to the parents or the child, something like that. But in terms of the work, it actually hasn't been much different in terms of how busy I've been.
What protocols are you and other farriers currently following when visiting facilities?
So I've been actually trying really hard to follow whatever protocols the barns have in place, because I find that they have a setup that works well for them. So I try and kind of fit in with their whatever restrictions as much as I can. But there's been a lot of stuff like, I try and set up in one location that's kind of out of the fray. I try and just use one lead shank, one broom, one shovel. And then at the end, I try and sanitize everything. I've added an alcohol-based sanitizer to my fly spray. I try and wash my hands certainly regularly, not necessarily every horse, but much more often. I sanitize my hands on the way in and out of every barn. Some of the barns want you to wear a mask, and if that's what they want, that's fine.
What do you encourage more horse owners to do before, during, and after an appointment with them, especially now during the pandemic?
One of the other things I've been doing is trying to get owners to leave the horses in with their halters on. So that's just one less thing I have to handle per horse. Or conversely, some of the barns will have someone there to get the horse in and out of the cross ties for me. We have had to do a lot of booking appointments at different barns at different times because they've had, facilities that are sometimes closed in the morning or the afternoon. So if I come to do your horse and then I have to wait, because always the time that you need to catch it is the time you can't. So I have to wait 15 or 20 minutes. Well, then I might miss my next appointment that they booked in advance. I also don't like to have horses in by themselves, because then the horses are busy dancing around, looking for their friends and just for some companionship. Whereas if there's a couple horses in, they tend to stand much quieter and things just go smoother.
How can horse owners learn more about proper farrier care?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that any horse owner or vet or anyone in the horse industry should have a base level of knowledge about shoeing. But yeah, I think it's a great thing to learn more. And if anyone wants to, they can come and ride with me for a day. If not me, most farriers are more than willing to let you ask questions and explain to you what they're doing and why they're doing it on your own horse. Or, if you don't even own a horse, but you ride at a school barn, try and get there on a day where the farrier's there and plug them full of questions. And as a general rule, they'll be very happy to try and answer your questions as best as they can.
What have you been doing during the pandemic to help the equine community?
I do have some clients that have fostered school horses from, some of the bigger places that virtually all their income is tied to schooling. So in that situation, I'm happy enough, if someone's fostering them, I'm happy enough to trim them for nothing as my little whatever give back to the world. So that way, because a lot of these barns, you don't ultimately want to see them close down. And, they still have to feed them. They still got to shoe them. The vet stuff to come out. Like, there's still a lot of expense involved. So if we can help to mitigate that a little bit, that can be a great thing.
If you could offer horse owners who are struggling to weather this pandemic one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would really encourage people to try and remember why they got into horses, and whether that's companionship, the freedom of riding, the bond you get with your horse, whatever that is for you. Try and remember what that is and try and get back to that, especially now that you're, able to get back at the barn, because a lot of people were missing out a lot of time that they could have spent at the barn. And also, as you're bringing your horse back into fitness, realize that they've been out of shape for quite a while, have been out of work for quite a while, and you need to just pretend it's springtime again, right? Not the middle of summer.
Is there anything else you would like the listeners to know?
I would like to make a little plug for the certification program through the American Farriers Association. So it's a voluntary certification program that there are quite a number of people, within Canada and the US that have spent a lot of effort and hours to get their certification done. And generally, if you're looking for a new farrier, a certification is a really good place to start, because then at least you know that they've been exposed to good information, they've done some form of testing, and you generally just get a more professional level of farrier who has been through the program.
Thank you, Peter, for joining the Equine Information Source on this interview today.
All right, well, thank you very much, and try and stay healthy through this pandemic.